Don't take naps. Ugh, don't take naps, guys. Naps fuck you up. I should have known better. I was tired. But there's a Power Rangers marathon on Twitch. By the way, no, I don't have a problem with Twitch streaming freaking Power Rangers. I think the the let's get indignant at what Twitch is doing has long passed. That was a long time ago. Okay, before IRL and drama, no, and comedy and Bob Ross. Okay, first let's get our thank yous out of the way. Oh, thank you for liking my tweets. Pidgeotto, Pidgeotta, Pidgeonix. Thank you for following the channel, Pidgeonix. Welcome, Twitch, family friendly. It's a Power Ranger. I'm thinking Power Rangers, and now family friendly. We ain't family friendly, brah. But Pidgeonix, thank you for following the channel. Welcome to the friendliest tiny Twitch community. Paksu, Paksu, Paksu. Thank you for following the channel, Paksu. I really appreciate it. Welcome to the friendliest tiny Twitch community. One day I'm gonna have that slogan actually memorized enough so it's like muscle memory. Icy Dapper, welcome back again, and thank you for joining the friendliest Twitch community. The friendliest tiny Twitch community. See, we're not the friendliest and we're not the tiniest, but we're the friendliest tiny. Ha ha ha! Okay. All right. I want to talk to you guys about something that someone actually asked me to talk about, and I think it's actually something that's pretty cool to talk about, and and it won't take very long. Um, I want to talk about Kickstarter. A lot of people don't know what it is, they don't know how it works, and they don't know why they should care. And there's a lot of misconceptions about Kickstarter. Kickstarter is a website, a company that brings people who beg for money because they're trying to create something or do something, but they want money. And it brings them together with people who have money and might want to give it away without getting something up front. And Kickstarter takes a cut. Now that sounds pretty sketchy, doesn't it? But it ain't like that. It ain't like that, bros. Okay, now I'm going to talk specifically about Kickstarter for video games because I don't give a shit about Kickstarter for art and board games and comics and planting trees. Okay, though planting trees is good, save the environment. Global warming is real, Mr. EPA man. But in particular, we're talking about Kickstarter gaming because when talking about Kickstarter gaming, it's a little different, and I'll explain why. And so, yeah, there's a reason. Okay, as a young man, as a young man, I sometimes used to have this fantasy of I'd be super rich because most fantasies begin with being super rich, and um, I would be still playing games. Or be interested in gaming, which also sounds kind of silly because if you're super rich, you're on the yacht with the big titty bitches and the champagne. But what it could happen. There are rich people who play games. Vin Diesel. So and then I would be like, because publishers these days are shit. Publishers are run by greedy CEOs and stupid stockholders that only care about profit, not about releasing a good product, not about their consumer base or consumer goodwill or the world or babies in Africa. They just care about profit, and it's usually short-term profit. And they're so stupid that they will sometimes work against themselves, and they cost themselves money because they listen to focus groups and they don't understand games in the gaming industry and people who like games because they're not gamers, they're not developers. These are like industry economists, accounting, financial tycoon dudes. and all they know is number crunching and surveys. Survey says, and looking at what's been successful in the past. Not all publishers are like that, and it's not, depends on the company, whatever. But in general, publishers do not approve of games that aren't going to be, AAA blockbuster cheddar makers. So things like classic style RPGs, games with risky stories, anything that isn't tried and true and been proven, anything that rocks the boat, and even something that might be successful, they would turn down because it's not just about making money, it's about making as much money as possible. If they could turn $1 into 10, why turn $1 into $5? Who cares if it'd be a better game and if it has a positive message and if it's the dream project of a studio that's been working for the publisher? No, they want the $10. And I guess you can't hate them that much, but I hate them that much, so fuck it. And you get the microtransactions in the DLC and the skins and the on disc cut content. But more importantly, like forget that, you just don't even get the game. They're not they would games like Pillars of Eternity, or games like Beyond Divinity or Divinity Original Sin and pretty much every other really great game that was on Kickstarter. And some people don't even realize how many games came from Kickstarter wouldn't exist because publishers be like, "We're not giving you $1. We're not giving you $1. This is stupid. You're not going to make any money." So I had this fantasy that I would call in like small game studios or independent development studios. Like I would call in Night Dive or Hairbrained or freaking Obsidian. I'd be like, sit down, comrade. I am rich man. I want to be publisher. And then I just tell them what kind of game I want, or I'm like, they tell me what kind of game they want to make, and I'm like, sounds good, but make sure big titty bitches or something, you know what I mean? And I'll be like, make vampire game, or make something like Fallout, but not Fallout, so get sued, and make it really cool, you know what I mean? And they would be like, okay, so yeah, you have this fantasy of having your dream game made custom for you, and it's even better than making a game because when you make a game, you don't enjoy playing it because you've made it. You know every aspect. You know the story. It's like reading a book that you wrote. Aside from like narcissism and self-flagellation, you're not going to enjoy reading. Like, oh yeah, I know what happens next. I fucking wrote it. I mean, you could still enjoy other books and you can enjoy other games, but you're not going to enjoy the game you made. But if you're a publisher, you tell them what you want. But I don't want to know. Don't spoil it. Just tell them how you want it to go. And make sure it's, give them the money that they need, the time that they need. Don't rush it out for the Christmas rush, and then it's the game of your dreams, and you get to play it, and it's like a complete unknown experience, and you get to share it with other people. So it's a way of letting other people play the greatest game in the world that you had a part in making, and you don't even have to know jack shit about making games, It's like you want to show people the amazingness of good food, and you can't cook for shit, but you hire Gordon Ramsay to do like a personal catered experience, and there's almost a feeling of, oh, I did this. You know what I mean? I didn't do it. I paid for it, so it's kind of, Okay, so going back to Kickstarter. Kickstarter is the idea that, hey, there are some companies, small companies, one dude, or even larger companies like Obsidian or Larian that they still, they operate on a tight budget game to game, and they want to make some good games that well crafted experiences that they care about. Passion, remember passion, but they need money, and publishers just show them the middle finger. And even if somehow they get a publisher who's willing to work with them, they would attach all these strings that would ruin the game and the dream. So they go to Kickstarter, right? And Kickstarter, they create a Kickstarter. You, as a consumer and as a fake publisher, get to decide if you want to help create this game. Now, there's this misconception. There's some misconceptions about how Kickstarter works. And I'm going to explain it. Okay, first of all, huge misconception. People think that when you pledge to a game on Kickstarter, that you just give them the money and they get the money. and then it's like, oh my God, what happens to my money if their goal, the set amount that they want to make, what happens if they don't make the pledge? If they don't make the amount they're trying to make, they don't get the money. There is no money. When you pledge, no money is actually there's nothing. When you pledge, it's a pledge. You're literally saying, "I promise I'll pay you this amount later if you make it." So there is no money. So there's no money to get back because there's no money that was taken. If the Kickstarter fails, no money is taken from anyone. Nothing happens except the developers cut themselves. So if a Kickstarter fails, aka that they don't make quite enough to make the game, you don't have to worry about them still taking your money and making a shitty game or just running into the hills because there's no money that changes hands. Another misconception about Kickstarter is that it's very expensive. That if you want to pledge to a game, it's like $100 or $80 or something, when it's completely dependent on the actual Kickstarter and the studio and what they're asking for. And usually, if you just want a free copy of the game and the feeling that you helped create a game, it's usually very cheap. Only like there are tiers, different levels of pledges, and basically they're like, "Ooh, give us more. If you give us this amount of money, then we'll name a mountain after you in the game, and we'll give you 3 copies of the game and a poster, and we'll send a Swedish masseuse to jack you off." But you don't have to like it's up to you. You don't have to like it's only if again if there's a super rich dude like the guy I dreamed about and he's really excited about a game concept. He's like, oh, this is the game I've always wanted. He could do the $5,000 pledge where they fly you down to the studio and you have a brunch with the people making the game and then I don't know. I was gonna make another sexual reference, but there's too many sexual references. I don't know. Everything's about sex, okay? So it's as expensive or as cheap as you want it to be. Next is the idea that it's a scam. The games will never happen. I'll never get my game. They're going to run away with my money. Now this is where the fact that I'm only talking about Kickstarter for video games comes into play. It takes a little bit of practice. You got to look at a lot of Kickstarters, but you can judge pretty well a Kickstarter that's a scam, and a Kickstarter that's legit, and also a Kickstarter that might probably succeed, as opposed to a Kickstarter where the guy doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Quite simply, don't kickstart any games that do not have a video showing some sort of alpha footage or demo footage. If they don't have any footage, then they're so early in development they shouldn't be doing Kickstarter, or more than likely they just don't know what they're doing and it's some guy in his basement who thinks that he's going to flip Unity assets, or I don't know. Definitely don't Kickstart anything that has no video at all. And also, you can do research on these companies and on these people. Google's a thing. Wikipedia's a thing. Like you can just kickstart games that have names attached that you trust. Companies that have done previous Kickstarters and have already released games that you liked, so you know that they know what they're doing and that they have a proven track record. That this isn't their first rodeo. For example, Larian Studios just did the Divinity Original Sin 2 Kickstarter not that long ago, a few months ago. They already did a Kickstarter and released Divinity Original Sin 1, and people really liked it. It's a game, it's on Steam, so Larian Studios probably is not going to scam you. You know that it's a real game, and you know that you're in as good hands as you can hope to be. Not to mention on their Kickstarter, they had a huge amount of footage because they're a real company and they actually have something to show you. But yes, there's always the possibility the company fails. But see, another thing about Kickstarters in gaming as opposed to other projects is that outright failure is much rarer. Like when you kickstart some new startup product or some board game. They fail a lot because these people doing these things have no idea how business works and and the costs that arise from trying to get something made in factories. With gaming, the only thing they really need to understand is creating the game, because once it's ready, it goes on to the digital platform, and there's no really hidden costs, there's no surprises that tech heads who might not be familiar with the process wouldn't know, because they know everything that there is to know about this. And if coding is their only, is their field, then they know how much this is going to cost and how long it's going to take. So that the percentage of failure due to stupidity and miscalculations is much lower. More than likely, the game will get released, but it could take longer, and it might suck. That's far more likely than no game, and that's unfortunate if it happens. But again, you're not making an investment. You're buying a chance at a good game being made, just like a publisher. Publishers don't get a guarantee a game is ever going to get made or that it's going to be good. Of course, in that case, the publisher, if the game fails, they get supposed to get money return, or they get paid first in sales. But then, the studio goes under and there's bankruptcy, they don't get their money. So it's still complicated there. There's still always risk of loss. And you're not a publisher, you're just a dude. So obviously, you don't get the protections that a publisher gets. That's why they're not going to a publisher. You don't have to do Kickstarter. Most people don't do Kickstarter. But I would suggest to you that every now and then you go to Kickstarter and you look at the games, and if there's something that looks like, oh my god, this is the game I want, do some research on it, make sure that there's footage and that these people look legit, and maybe Kickstart it. Why? Because it just feels really good to be part of the creation of something, to say you helped make this, and you get updates on the progress, almost like adopting like an orphan kid, and you get like little mail how he's doing it, which might be a bit crass. Now I want to show you quickly a Kickstarter. So we're actually gonna go. Yeah, this is Kickstarter. You create an account. You go to explore. Wait. Let me move my camera. You go to explore. Let me show you again. No, go back. You go to explore. Click on explore. And then you go to video games. Where was it? You go to games. So you go to games, and then you click on video games. It used to be much harder to see things, but now, and it shows you things. And you can also sort by newest, by what's about to end, by most funded. If you go to Kickstarter often, I'd suggest going by newest, so you can quickly see the 3 or 4 new titles you haven't seen before. And it's fun. It's really fun looking at the hopes and dreams of all these companies to see games. And it's almost like previews. Games that are going to probably come out in the future that no one else knows about, because they're coming from Kickstarter and people don't know them. And you're not going to see a lot of these in PC Gamer. Let me show you this as an example. This is called Forged of Blood. It's being made in Indonesia, which is really great that other countries, that are trying to get into gaming. And small side note, if you kickstart a project in a country where the currency is not as valuable as yours, it's much cheaper. You see, I kickstarted this for 15 Indonesian rubles, shekels, dineros. I don't know, but it's actually $11 in real money because of the exchange. So you get more for less. Pretty cool. And you're supporting a burgeoning industry in a country not quite as fortunate. And as you can see, I kickstarted them, and I'm going to get a full copy of the game, assuming it ever happens, for only $11. That's like freaking Steam sale prices for a regular game. That's actually like I mean, like, how is that a lot of money? It's as much as you want to put in, right? And as you can see, they're not doing that well, unfortunately. Um, I've noticed that when it's from countries that aren't really known for being in tech or industrial centers, that the Kickstarters don't do as well, which is really sad because there's a lot of good-looking games coming from Indonesia, or they're trying to make them right now. I just kickstarted a game called Legoland, not Legoland, Legrand Legacy, which is a kind of JRPG themed, but the characters are older and it looks grittier, and that's also from Indonesia, and looks like a cool game. So yeah, I've noticed a lot more Kickstarters from Indonesia lately. I don't know why, like, all of a sudden, but that's really great. You go, guys, especially awesome games like this. And as you can see, this is a video. Um, let me I don't let me turn the sound off. But so you go through the video. The first thing you do is there footage? Is there footage? There is footage. You see footage? Then okay. No footage or no video, no pledge or reno. When you see footage, you know that the chances of it succeeding and them not being shysters is drastically increased, like 5,000%. Um, and if it doesn't make the pledge, if it doesn't reach its goal, if it doesn't reach the goal, then game no get made, but your money is not taken either. And you can still feel good about yourself that, oh, I tried to create this game, it didn't work, I did my part. Um, and you can sleep well at night, and it didn't cost you any money. So, yeah, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, right? There's another platform for creating games that's relatively newer called Fig. It's game companies kind of like it because Fig takes much less money, and it was created by some people in the game industry. I don't like Fig. It also has this thing where you could invest, and then you supposedly get money back if the game makes a lot of money. But the way it's set up is you're not really going to get money. So if you are going to do Fig, and there are very few games on Fig, but if you do Fig, I would suggest just pledge. You can pledge just like Kickstarter. Don't go in the investment thing. Um, it's all kinds of skeezy. I don't like the investment thing. I much prefer Kickstarter to Fig, but if a game on Fig is really good, I'm going to go there. And it's not like I don't think that Fig is like gonna scam you. I think that people think that the investment thing is a lot better than they realize because they can't read, and the investment portion of Fig is not nearly as lucrative or fair as you might think. And I don't like Fig because um, the people who started it also like had their friends put Kickstarters on there. But I understand why game companies would use Fig because they take less money from your cut. So, Pillars of Eternity 2 was on Fig, and I created a Fig account from Pillars of Eternity 2. I backed it, and I'm not worried that anything. The Kickstarter ended, Obsidian got their money. Things are moving, but I'm not a huge fan of Fig. But it is. It is legit, and you can also check there occasionally. It works almost exactly the same as Kickstarter from a pledger's perspective. Just don't do the investment stuff. Just do the pledge, pretend it's Kickstarter. You know what I mean? But yeah, so that's how it works. You can have a hand in creating the game of your dreams. You could just check it occasionally. If the game doesn't look perfect for you, then just don't do it. And just wait for the game that might happen. Uh, and it feels good. It's cool to be part of something. You get updates, makes you get email. All the great things when you're a sad loser. You get emails. And sometimes there are surveys and questions where you can actually have a hand in deciding certain aspects of the game. Like I remember it was I forget which game it was. They asked the backers, "Do you want real time with pause or turn-based combat?" And they said turn-based. But if I was there, it would have been real time with pause. And also, it's a cool way of getting unique little bits and baubles. Sometimes I'm not a huge fan of exclusive in-game content offered through a Kickstarter, but I understand why. It's a great draw. But as long as to get the cool little shiny in the game, that the tier isn't excessive, I don't have a problem with it. Mostly, what a lot of companies in Kickstarters will do is the higher tiers they offer name an item, create an item. You have yourself in the game. We'll name the game after you, so other people can still enjoy the game completely. But you see the guy's name, and he can just masturbate to how awesome he is. Kind of like how rich people donate to a college and they get their name on the new library. So it's not like there's a special wing of the library just for them. It's just named after them, so they could feel awesome. Same principle. So yeah, if the Kickstarter is not successful, no money is taken, and if it is successful, they take the money. Understand that it might not succeed, but as long as you're not stupid when it comes to kickstarting video games specifically, there are a lot of telltale signs that you can easily look for to know if a Kickstarter is probably going to be successful. But yes, there's always a chance that it fails, and don't go in if the chance of getting nothing for your money will absolutely devastate and drive you mad. So that's Kickstarter. If you're struggling to eat, if money is super tight, you're not kickstarting games, of course. But just think of it as a passion project, as a hobby. Instead of buying a $20 token in WoW and turning it into gold, you could take those $20 and get a solid tier on a Kickstarter, help a game get made and get an entire game and be part of the creation of the game. And I'm not trying to sell you on Kickstarter. If it's not for you, it's not for you. I know a lot of people on Twitch are still don't understand why you would ever sub to someone. And they're almost obsessed with the idea of not paying for their entertainment, like it's a freaking religion or something. If you don't understand why you would tip for entertainment or for good service, then you're not gonna you're not gonna get it. And that's Kickstarter, and that's also Fig. And also, a lot of amazing games that you've heard of were started as Kickstarters, and people don't even know. FTL was a Kickstarter, one of the very first, and FTL, how popular that was. The Shadowrun games, Kickstarter, Divinity Original Sin, Pillars of Eternity, Tyranny was not. Was it a Kickstarter? No, it might have been a Fig. I don't remember. But whether it was or it wasn't, it only got made because the Pillars of Eternity was successful. Pretty much, Wasteland, the new Torment, the new System Shock reboot. Is a Kickstarter. What else? So many indie games on Steam are actually Kickstarters. Mostly a lot of RPGs. I don't know. My brain is slow. Oh, Sundered, Etrig, Banner Saga. Banner Saga was a Kickstarter. People love that game. A trilogy actually. There's going to be a trilogy now. They're working on the third one. There was Kickstarter. Well, 1 was kickstarted, 2 was not, and then 3 was kickstarted, I believe. Darkest Dungeon, Darkest Dungeon was a Kickstarter, and Darkest Dungeon was amazing. And if people like me didn't go to Kickstarter and put a few dollars down, there wouldn't be Darkest Dungeon. And some people were like, why can't they pay for it themselves? What should I take out? Should the developers, these poor people, should they take out another mortgage on their house? They don't have the money for this. That's why publishers exist. And the reason Kickstarters exist is because publishers don't want to pay for these games because they want to sell 10 million copies of COD, Halo, Ghost Recon, Modern Warfare, For Honor, Ubisoft shit. So if you have more eclectic, more exotic, more old school, or more mature tastes, we need Kickstarter. All right, and that was today's vlog about Kickstarter, how it works, why should you care, and a few tips on how to spot a good Kickstarter. Hopefully that cleared some things up.